All right, today we're gonna make coq au vin. So this like really classic French dish. It's snowing, we're in the middle of a snowstorm here, and this is just like a nice braised dish. Also, this is COVID kitchen, and so coq actually, C-O-Q, means like an old rooster. So what's nice about that is you can just use, you got any old chicken thighs that are freezer burnt in the back of your freezer, or you got some, maybe you even grilled some chicken a couple days ago and you want to like repurpose it, you can then braise it for a couple hours, get a whole new dish. So, or if you got an old rooster, you can use your old rooster. That's great too. For coq au vin, we're going to need about a ½ pound of either thick cut bacon or pancetta, which is basically like an Italian bacon. I've got 8 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, some either low sodium chicken broth or just chicken stock, garlic tube, 2 onion, 2 celery stalks, 3 carrots, about a half bunch of thyme. What is that, 5 or 6 scallions? This is like a pound of any mushroom. For wine, any dry red cab, Pinot Noir, big good Burgundy, some black pepper, coarse ground kosher salt, and some AP flour. For my family of 6, I bought 8 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. We love chicken thighs. We've maybe eaten chicken breast once in 6 years. The whole family, for grilling, baking, roasting, braising, whatever. Chicken thighs are awesome. They just stay tender. And the bone-in for coq au vin adds a lot of flavor. Almost makes a little bit of a bone broth as it's cooking. All right, so just take some of your kosher salt, season both sides with salt and pepper pretty well. I'm gonna tell you 3 reasons I love kosher salt. 1, this coarse ground stuff is nice and big, and so you can feel it in your fingers, you can tell how much you use, you can see it. 2, it's half as salty as like a fine ground iodized salt, so you can use it without over seasoning things so easily. And 3, why it's kosher salt is the way it's flat and it sticks to the meat. It draws the juices out of the meat, so when you brown it in the pan like we're going to for this braised dish or grilling meats, those juices come to the outside of the meat and caramelize and make it brown. Scoffier, the old French dude from a few hundred years ago that taught us all how to cook, his famous saying was brown food tastes better. So you gotta brown that meat. Coarse ground kosher salt, get some in your pantry. All right, now we take the chicken thighs over to a pan. This has been on hot for about a minute and a half. You want a real hot pan. I'm gonna drizzle in about 2 tablespoons of oil. This, I ran out of canola oil at about here. So this is about 75% canola and about 25% olive oil. What's great is the canola oil allows you to get it really hot without burning it. And olive oil adds a little bit of flavor and nutrition. Oil is nice and hot, nearly smoking. Really, I would say get it to smoking. And then place it skin side down. All right, while the chicken is sizzling behind me, some of y'all like the life hack stuff, so I'll throw you another one of those. This is fresh thyme. I love thyme. If we're talking about spices to have in your cupboard, dry thyme would be the next one I'd add to the list of garlic, salt, pepper, chili powder, and cumin. Just be careful with dry thyme because you gotta use like a third as much because it's really strong. Fresh thyme here, delicious, but the stems are really woody, so you can't just chop them up like maybe a cilantro or even a basil stem. But if you have like one of these little cheese graters, there you go. And then any of the little ones that stay in there, those are tender enough just to chop up, not worry about. All right, once you get a nice color on your chicken on both sides, pull that all out. Keep your heat on high. We're gonna add in our onions, carrots, celery. Time to learn something French again, you got to. 2 parts onion, 1 part carrot, 1 part celery. Mirepoix, M-I-R-E-P-O-I-X, mirepoix. This is like foundation all French cooking. So my produce drawer, always onion, carrot, celery, make everything with it. This seems really close to my face.
It seems out.
No? Can you get this too still? I didn't talk about the size. I did a large dice. Basic rule of thumb, the longer you cook something, the bigger it needs to be. We're gonna braise this chicken for 2.5 hours. So I did a nice large dice of the onion, carrot, and celery, our mirepoix. Quick seasoning tip, as you're going along making recipes, if you just season each ingredient a little bit as you go, by the end of the recipe, you're basically right there, and you just gotta add a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. All right, we've been sauteing this mirepoix a little bit. It picked up some of that chicken fond, the brown stuff on the bottom of the pan. Now we're gonna add in about tablespoon and a half of garlic. All right, the mirepoix and garlic is kind of began to caramelize, picked up all that good stuff off the bottom of the pan. So now I'm going to deglaze with, I'm going to use a half a bottle of this La Crema. This is by no means a life hack, but I run into people too often that don't know how to open a bottle of wine with a wine key, and I don't like being friends with those people, so let's learn this real quick. I'm going to add in the fresh thyme. I'm going to bring just the wine to a boil and let it boil really hard for about a minute or two. And then I'm going to add in the chicken broth, bring that to a boil, and then I'll add all the chicken back in, and then that's going to simmer for about 2.5 hours. Bring it to a boil, turn it down to low heat, and let it simmer for about 2.5 hours. I'm going to say something about scallions real quick because I love them and I'm going to cook with them a lot. When you're using a scallion, a green onion, think of it like 2 different pieces of produce. You got the white part that you cook up like a regular onion, and the green part that you add fresh and treat more like an herb. When I was in my early 20s, I cooked at P.F. Chang's for a bit. Loved that. It was an amazing job. And all their recipes either said WPO or GPO, so white part only or green part only. So we're going to saute the white part and we're going to garnish with the green part. So classic garnish or like a topping for coq au vin, same as like beef bourguignon. These are 2, braised beef, braised chicken. These are like the foundations of French cuisine. So that classic garnish is you would take a pancetta, or we're going to do bacon, render that down, and then cook a white mushroom like this, honestly, and then some pearl onions. But we're actually just going to use the white part of our scallions for this garnish. All right, get a hot saute pan. Throw your bacon in. All right, while the bacon's sizzling, I'm gonna cut these mushrooms. I just washed them right now. I think with mushrooms, you don't really wanna wash them too far ahead of time because they get kind of slimy and they oxidize a bit. I haven't really talked about washing your veggies. I wash my veggies. There's lots of pesticides and things on it. I also grew up standing on dirt roads as the crop dusters flew over, and just thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I either built up an immunity or built like a 3rd lung. So either way, I'm washing it off my veggies now though. All right, when your bacon's about 90% crispy, go ahead and pull it out. I like to put it on a paper towel plate. Grab yourself a jelly jar. Throw your bacon fat in there. Leave it on the counter, cook an egg in it the next couple days. Pan still on high. I'm gonna put a teeny bit of the bacon fat back in there, like a teaspoon. Got my quartered mushrooms. A little bit more bacon fat. Some of you leave it out completely, some of you leave it all in. You do you. All right, once your mushrooms are looking nice and brown and delicious, add your white part. Keep it on high the whole time, don't be scared. Add your bacon back in. Let that come together for a couple minutes. That's your garnish. All right, the chicken's been braising for 2.5 hours. This is what it should be looking like about now. I'm gonna pull all the chicken out. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off all this chicken skin. It's already served its purpose of adding a delicious flavor to the braising liquid. So I'm just gonna toss that and then show you how to thicken this up and then finish the dish. All right, really important little French term, roux, R-O-U-X. Roux is just equal parts fat, anything, butter, oil, bacon fat, and flour. And then you cook those together, and then to different levels. You can do a light roux, a dark roux. We're gonna do kind of a medium, like a blonde, like a medium brown roux. And then we're gonna simmer that in this braising liquid for about 15 minutes, and that'll make a nice thick consistency. So I've got about 2 tabs of butter here. I would call that a tablespoon and a half. I'm gonna let it melt, and then I'm gonna add in equal parts flour, cook it till it's light brown, whisk it in. All right, butter's all melted. All right, I'm pretty happy with the kind of light brown color of this roux here. At this point, you may remove the cork from the pot. I'm gonna stir in a little less than all of this. I don't want it to be too thick, and I can always add more. All right, at this point, I'm gonna put the chicken back in here, let it all simmer together for 5-10 minutes, and it's ready to go.
It's very yummy.
All right, thanks for cooking coq au vin with me. Got to learn a couple French terms. The reason that the Frenchies get so much influence on our food is because they were the first ones about 400 years ago to really write things down, put them in a book, and bring some consistency to how we cook things. And so French food is awesome. It affects everything. Everything I cook has a little French influence. If you want to learn about the potatoes I put on this dish, check out the potato episode, because I love potatoes so much. They're one of my favorite things that God invented, and so it needed its own episode. See ya.